Welcome, everybody, to the debut of Chessosophy, the series that aims to teach you the philosophy behind chess improvement. This is an idea I've had for a while as a chess teacher to create this more conceptual approach to chess improvement. Concepts such as the one in the title, as I find a lot of the times my students have struggled with their improvement. It was a psychological shift that was needed for them to break their plateau. So that's the idea of the series. I plan to show you a series of puzzles to explain why the concepts presented are objectively true. Without further yapping, let me show you our first concept. Chess is pattern recognition. Here's the first puzzle. White to move, mate in 1. Pause now if you need to. Okay, so the two checks we're probably going to want to consider are a7 and a1. There are, of course, a lot of other checks, but they simply give the king an obvious escape square. So we can try queen to a7 first. Check. Slicing the king from across the board while the king assists on its c4 square. However, we allow the king this one escape square, meaning it is not the solution. So how do we fix that? Well, we instead go to queen a1, and now this square is covered as well as the rest of the squares, meaning this one will be checkmate. Good job if you got queen a1. Moving on to another one. Black to move, mate in 1. Pause now if you need to. Okay, if you got queen to g2, checkmate in 1, good job. Now, we're on to the final one. This one's an even more difficult one, or at least visually more difficult. White to move, mate in 1. Pause now if you need to. Okay. So, at first, this may seem extremely complicated with the plethora of pieces spamming the screen. But if we check which squares our pieces are covering, such as this rook covering this file, this pawn covering this square, this king covering this square as well as this pawn, of course, and this knight and this queen covering this square, meaning if we are able to give a check along this file, it will be checkmate in 1. And if you saw queen takes g7, you would be correct. So now I'll give you some time to notice something about the 3 puzzles I just showed you. The reason I gave you these puzzles to solve is to illustrate the concept chess is pattern recognition. If we look at all 3 of these puzzles, they're actually the exact same puzzle. This one is flipped this way. This one is flipped colors, and this one is flipped with a bunch of pieces, but the pattern remains the same. In essence, this is what chess is. It's about getting better at seeing the same patterns again and again, and as you train over time, you'll need less and less effort to spot them. Now, patterns come in a variety in chess. But here's my recommendation for at least improving your tactical understanding: doing lots of puzzles. Now, both chess.com and Lichess offer puzzles in a variety of different ways. So if you haven't checked them out, check them out. But that wraps the first concept of the series. Chess is pattern recognition.